What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man. I hope you're having a great day. I'm super excited to be here with my good friend Kris. If you guys have been listening to the podcast, so what's up, Kris? So, how are you doing? First of all,
I'm doing
let's get
well.
your
Hi, everybody.
yeah, that's right. If you've been listening to the podcast or maybe just tuning in now, we met each other back a couple weeks back when I was out in Utah, and I was trying to film a couple like man on the street segments. And at that point, we were getting no's, right? A lot of people were like, yeah, but no, thanks, man. Like, yeah, I don't want to talk to these guys, you know? And at that point, there was a moment for us where I was like, man, like it was just a moment of frustration because I was like, is this really going to happen? Are we really going to do this? And then all of a sudden, boom, man, you came out of nowhere on like across the street. I'm like, all right, babe, I think I'm going to go ask this guy because, and we went and then you were like, hey, man, yeah, no problem. I'll it sounds interesting. I'll answer these questions. And that's how we met. And then we've been in contact since. And you did share that you've been listening to the episode. So, first of all, thanks for being awesome and opening up and actually, saying yes to the fact of a stranger asking you a couple questions. Where were you coming from? Like, what were you doing at that moment, that day?
I was in Idaho, not Utah.
Oh,
So,
Idaho, bro, it's the worst. I'm the
right
worst.
southwest. Yeah, you're good. No,
Yeah.
I was just coming out of work actually, and I was just walking in my car, and you were across the street, and it's waving. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's whatever questions you got.
Yeah.
I was having a really bad day too, so it was funny that you approached me and at that time, and I was like, for whatever reason, the inside head voice, I was like, man, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to go home, like stressful, tough stuff going on. And
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to anybody, but you came out, I was like, all right. So like real quick, I was like, yeah, what's up? Like, I don't mind talking to people and saying what's up. And anyway, yeah, so that was good, man.
Yeah,
Out of
dude.
nowhere.
It was
You
it
saved
was
my day.
pretty it was pretty crazy. And we can start off with that and then we'll just kind of work our way down the podcast. And obviously real quick, like before anything, usually if people are listening, most people are new listeners are going to come listen to you, right? Obviously because they know you and you probably have your own influence around people and people listen. So if you're a first time listener, really the concept is just a mental thing, right? Nothing changes until you do. Influence creates thoughts create emotion drive decisions get you to your actions, and then what we want to do is really figure out these outcomes that we're really not happy with and then reverse engineer the things that we need to do. And we're going to take a step further because I've been working on, obviously you've been listening, right? So
Oh yeah.
there's been plenty of things I've been working on, and then most recently, like there's been another aha moment I can't wait to share with you in terms of just knowing some principles that I've used for my own personal increase of pretty much everything in terms of productivity and timelines and how I'm using it. So we'll go back to it, but that's in general the concept of nothing changes until you do. So all right, so now we're back in the street in Idaho, not Utah. you and then so you were coming out having a terrible day. Like what was going on with you at that moment?
Uh, so I work at a restaurant and it was just super busy. And I remember that day was, it was just a tough day. Besides being super busy and stressful, which is like what we do, there was some kind of internal conflict with some team members, right? And so I felt, I don't know, leaders always feel sometimes that they're not good enough because something happens, right? And, you do your best, you do what you can, and you try to just make everybody happy and do a good job. And obviously you got to make the people above you happy. You got to make the people below you happy. So it was just a tough day. And there's some things that happened. And, I had not necessarily like an argument, but just like I felt like I wasn't like valued or appreciated.
Mm.
And it got to the point where, um, I'm just trying to do my job. Like I'm not new to this world. I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm trying to teach the younger kids like this is just the way it is. This is what the industry is. It sucks right now. It's tough some days. You have terrible guests. You have different conflicts with coworkers. You don't like management, whatever. But we just got to keep doing it because the first thing, the priority is the guest, and that's what we do because we're here because of them, and without them we want to have a job, right? There's other restaurants you can work at, but I want to make the one that I'm at like the best, and I want people to go to it. And the very first thing that people will say when they go to restaurants was, there's a lot of good places with food, but service is usually the next best thing that people judge where they go to on. So anyway, that particular day, I was, like I said, I was having a bad day, and I just felt like I wasn't doing a good job. Like, I'm like, man, maybe I'm over this job. Like maybe I should do something different in a different career field. Almost. That's how bad a day it
Whoa.
was. Just
Whoa.
super, super
Yeah.
busted, man. And you
You were
know,
questioning life itself and its
yeah,
existence.
I was like, what should I do instead of this? Man, this sucks. It's just a tough
Yeah.
day, you know? And then
Yeah.
yeah, so then you came out of nowhere and you're like, can I ask you some questions? And I was like,
This
yes. What
guy.
do you got?
That's
make
great.
make my head feel better than it is right now. And
Yeah.
that's what you did, man, you know, with 3 simple questions. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? It's been great too because I've asked them. You know, now at the end of the episode, we continue to ask them, and you know, it's funny to see people's reactions to you know, all of them or some of them in terms of what it is and how it gets them thinking. But yeah, that's cool, man. So since that day, I guess what's changed at the restaurant for you, like mentally? How were you able to get yourself out of that mental state?
You know, I just took it like I've obviously been listening to you and you talk a lot about macro and micro, right?
Mhm.
So I just took that day as it was just a tough day and it's a day and the next day resets it, right? So I took what happened that day and then I took you coming to me as like a divine intervention. I was like, okay, this is for a reason. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And so I thought about what happened and, you know, reflecting on what happened and the situations and trying to just be better, you know, communicative to people, more understanding, not not that I'm stuck in my ways or stern like that, but just more like open-minded to conversations and my approach to different things. Um, and I don't think it was terrible before. It's just that day got to the point where in my head
right.
too, I was like, all right, this is over. So, you
Yeah,
know,
you
day
were
by
in it.
day, it's a
You
new
were in
day.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're yeah, exactly. Those are our high emotional states where it's like you're
Yeah.
just completely, you know, in it. Okay, that's cool, man. So, you know, and then when you had shared that as far as like listening to it and what are some of the highlights that you got or some of the things that you've been like, oh man, this is, you know, a good perspective that I can use moving forward.
You know, I just started thinking like it started with the questions that you asked me, and the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing is what I
Hmm.
forgot about for a long time until you asked me, what am I doing? Why did I change? You know, and so I just started thinking about stuff, and so yeah, it's just like a lot of little things that built up, and I was just like, okay, this has to change in a way that's beneficial for everybody, and so yeah, it's just you know just little things here and there in the restaurant world that changes, and you know be energetic, be happy, you know talk to people, have conversations with people before things build up,
Yeah,
um, you know have more one-on-ones and clear communication stuff. So
cool. And how's it been going?
great, you know honestly, besides it's just like you know you can have 364 days of awesomeness, right? And then you have that one day that you're like, oh that sucked, the whole year is blown, but it's
Yeah,
not the whole year, it's just that one day.
right.
And since then, you know, I think you know you set your mind to do something different. You have a different perspective on things and goals, and it changes how things go, right?
Mm,
And since then, I mean, it's been a couple of weeks, whatever. It's been stressful still, you know,
yeah,
still have conflict with stuff, but you get through it and you work together. And I think people understand too, right? When you have conversations with people, they understand what needs to happen to change and not have like the stress and the frustrations happen again. So it wasn't just me. Like we had big talk with different people, and
cool.
yeah, it's been good. Back to you know the good days.
Nice, man. That's awesome. That's really good to hear. Um, you know, and then so side note, as far as the restaurants, like I've worked in the restaurant industry for a little bit, yeah, actually for quite a few years before, like you know, doing whatever I was doing. Um, I realized like early on, I was like, you know what, I always wanted to open a restaurant. I always wanted to be like, I wanted to have like my own little like grilled cheese spot. Where it's like a bunch of
Yeah,
different artisan bread, artisan cheese, and you know, maybe like side of something, like make it super simple. Um, but then I realized how hard it is to actually run a restaurant.
oh
You know,
yeah,
and I feel like anybody that's in the restaurant business that actually runs or like is part of that dynamic, like it's super tough because like the ultimate goal is for people to come back after they eat a meal. And obviously, like you said, the service, right? So it's the food and then the service. But like to sit there for like, I don't know, 30 to 40, whatever your tech times are, right? 30 to 45
yeah,
minutes Right. It's like you get 30 and 45 minutes for this person to sit, order, drink, have the atmosphere, have the meal, and then like it enough for them to want to come back. And that's like the product and the service, but there's so many things leading up to that. You know,
Yeah.
the plates got to be washed. Is there soap in the washing machine? Are people
Yeah.
on time? Is there anyone running late? Anybody have an emergency? Any of the servers? Any of the cooks? Did the food get in delivered on time? Do we have enough? Did we pre-prep? Did we not pre-prep? There's crazy amounts of things that happen, you know, all around this setup to get your meal in front of you as like a consumer to eat it and then judge the food enough and the people that are serving
Right.
you to either come back. It's crazy, you know? So I wonder if there's like a sense for the people that haven't worked in the restaurant industry, if there's like a sense of not knowing, you know, how much it actually goes. I feel like the Bear probably did a good job of, you know, like bringing it more mainstream in terms of like what restaurant people actually go through. But I think there's probably it's almost like to me, like even the medical industry, like you sort of expect this thing from these people. And if you don't get it to like your expectation, then you get angry about it. And it's like, you know, it's like whether it's the way the nurses treat you or, you know, and obviously the nurses get treated like shit. So it's like a cycle, right? It's like a cycle thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like a side note. So you know, you're definitely in an industry that takes a lot of that, and there's so much going on, especially servers, cooks, all at one time. There's so many things you have to think about all at the same time too, that I feel like, you know, after a day of just a typical good restaurant, your brain is on this like over sensory mode, you know?
Oh yeah.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, 100%. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, all those things. Yeah, there's so much that goes on to making it work, you know, to serve people, right?
Yeah.
It's hospitality and you know, to be a manager and a leader of controlling, conducting all these different moving pieces and parts, front of the house, back of the house, you know, bar, servers, cooks, all the things. There's a lot, and it's a different mentality, you know. There's many days that I was like, man, I wish I could just be a busser again, or be a server,
Right.
or be a bartender. Just focus on like one
Yeah,
task
one
instead of
thing.
all these different things making the thing happen. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
No, I agree. I agree. Now, do you have like a I guess a process after you get out of work now, or like before and or after? Let's talk about after first.
Yeah.
Like after you're done with this day, like do you have a process to like wind down when you go to go home?
I do. So it's about a 25-minute drive home. So that's a good relax for me.
Cool.
I mean, since I've seen you, I've just been listening to you on my way home and to work, which is good, right? Get a
Awesome.
episode and a half in or whatever. And usually like on Saturdays, like Saturday's my Friday, right? So usually that day when I go home is like on the car ride, it's music, and there's some club mix going on. It's like good music. So I'll listen to that. Sometimes I don't listen to anything because I've listened to stuff all day long. I just want peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And
You'll hear ears ring.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. And there's days that I just want to come home and not scroll, but like just sit and watch and not think about anything. You know, I'll usually get some food or something, but the hours are shifted as well. So it's late, you know, late nights, and you know, trying to be healthy, and you're not supposed to eat before bed and all this after like 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever it is. And there's all these rules that I have to break in order to relax and unwind a little bit. But yeah, usually it's like music, listen to podcasts, some show on Netflix that I want to get into, that I want to think about the show instead of think about stuff, you know, and then there's, you know, that ride home is usually like my unwind. I walk to my truck, so it's like there's some quiet time, just enjoying the outside and the people watching of being like downtown and like the weekend nights or the busy nights or whatever like that. So
Nice.
yeah, just like unwind a little bit. Usually I come home, everybody's asleep, so I'm not like, hey, welcome home. You know, it's not a big party or anything.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to be quiet as well.
Okay,
So.
that's cool. So yeah, so you kind of like why you kind of get into that, and then, you know, obviously it's probably a good thing that not everyone's sleeping at the moment, because that way you can sort of settle in on your own time for a minute after dealing with how many people do you think you deal with during the restaurant? Like how many tables how many tables you guys usually serve like on a busy day?
I don't know, like 500 people on a busy night, you know, I mean, there's it's not a huge restaurant. It's small,
Right. But still,
space wise, but
500
it's
times.
busy.
Yeah, but 500 times, all the external factors that equal those 500 meals that are
Yeah,
going on,
there's
it's
a lot.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. All right, man. That's an awesome start to it. So take me through. I know we talked about there's a couple things like growing up, and then you were part of the military.
Yeah. Yeah.
Armed forces. So again, thanks for your service. I just had Jeff on this show. My brother Jeff. I don't know if you've gotten to that one yet, not yet, but he was on.
Yeah,
That
I'll
was a
get
good
there.
one. Okay, yeah, you'll get there. Yeah, so maybe we can lead into that, but take us through, right? Obviously, we talk about influence, thoughts, emotions, decisions, outcomes. What was growing up for you like? What did you grow up like? What was your influence like growing up?
So I grew up here, which is weird because most people in Idaho are from other places, California or whatever else. So to be still here with everybody moving in is neat to explain. I grew up literally. My subdivision had cornfields and hay fields and wheat fields around me, and it wasn't like a farmer. It's just that's how it was. A very, very rural environment. And as it grew over, now it's busy and all the cities are connected and stuff here. But home life was pretty good for the most part. I think growing up in the '80s, baby, I got to 10, and then my parents split. So I moved out with my sister and my mom. And then she remarried, and I gained like 3 stepsisters. My dad remarried, had 2 kids with this new wife. So I got a half brother and half sister. So from 10 to like 18, I should say that there was a lot going on. And then high school and then military, I think I was supposed to go to the Air Force initially. Okay, we even took a trip with my mom, my stepdad, my sisters, and everybody to Colorado to go to the Air Force Academy. And I was a junior, I believe, and went to Colorado, toured the campus. I was going to play like soccer. I was going to be, an officer for 4 years, whatever. And then I don't know, like I had this goal, and a couple of my buddies in high school joined the military as well. They joined the Army, and talking to them, talking to the recruiters. It's funny because the way it worked out is I went to go sign the name on the line, right, with the Air Force. But I tell people they were on lunch, literally, and the guys across the hallway with it, Army guys, and they're like, "Hey, come over here," I was like, "No, like I'm already taken. I'm gonna go."
I'm Air Force, right?
I'm Air Force. Like thanks guys, but no thanks. They're like, come on. Right. So I humor them, and talk to them for a minute, and one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I'm signing up with the Army, and 3 of my buddies and I went off after graduating high school like a month later. And then another 2 of our friends that were juniors signed up as well. So all these military guys went all together, and I was the first one to go and the last one to come back out of all the friends, for various different reasons. But yeah, growing up here in Idaho it was awesome. Outdoors, camping, fishing, hiking.
Yeah.
I never hunted, which is weird. You go in the military and you're like, oh, you must be around guns. I'll be honest, I probably shot a gun once, maybe twice before joining the military. And it was like a BB gun, maybe a 22, we're shooting birds or something down when you're kids. Yeah. But it wasn't anything I ever thought of. I want to shoot, so I'm gonna go shoot, real world, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up was cool.
Yeah. Take me through, take me through a little bit of like the Army stuff. If you're, whatever you're able to talk about. Like, I know we talked. One of the questions, really one of the questions was, what's something that you were, more was it most proud of, or what you're working through right now?
I think it was the question you asked me. What do I regret the most?
That was your biggest regret, right?
Yeah, biggest regret. And so military wise, my answer to that was my job that I picked. Wasn't something that I studied enough to where after I was done with 4 or 8 years, whatever I was going to be in for, I could do in the civilian world. Like I didn't pick something that was transitionable. I just thought I'm gonna do something really cool. And so I picked artillery, right? And so I went to basic training in Oklahoma at Fort Sill, and it was a OSIT unit. So it's like you do basic training plus your job field training at the same station instead of moving, whatever. So I did that and did artillery, heavy artillery. So big tanks that basically, big tank looking things that move and shoot, but they don't move and shoot like tanks. They have to be positioned like steady,
Got it.
and they shoot
Monster.
over everything. Like just the big tanks, not the cool look ones that you see on the
Yeah.
movies, like the bigger ones that shoot over everything and
Yeah.
provide support for whoever's in front. That was my job, right? And it was really cool. I got to go to, like I said, Oklahoma, and then I went to Germany. Was my first duty station at 18. I think I turned 19 in basic training, or something like that. So I went to Germany, like super young, and then 2000. This is 99, right? So 2001 happened 2 years later, right? 9/11.
Yeah.
And changed the game for the military, and no one saw that coming because
Completely right.
it had been 10 years when we were Desert Storm, and before that it was a couple of the conflicts, but nothing crazy like war.
Right.
So everybody got kind of scared, and I remember being in Germany and getting a call. We were coming back at the time. I was driving my Commander in a Humvee, and I remember getting the call that 9/11 was happening. Like a plane just hit World Trade Center, and we were coming back from a training exercise. And I remember coming back to the barracks, and nobody unpacked anything. We just went straight to the TVs, and we were looking at what everybody in the world was looking at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was crazy to think that like this is terrible. It's a tragedy, national tragedy. We're going to go somewhere. We're going to do something about this. Right. And then 2 years later, in 2003, when the war started itself, there's a lot of training and moving parts in between. But so I was in Germany for that. And then we went to Iraq in 2003. And then I did a half a rotation there, full rotation with my unit. But for lack of better terms, they didn't know what anybody was going to do and how long the war would happen. So they put everyone on what's called the stop loss, stop movement.
Okay.
And no one could get out of the military. Nobody could move different duty stations.
Wow.
And so they gave everyone a choice. They're like, we're going to extend everybody for 20 years because we don't know how long this is going to happen. Or you have an option to change your job. You can change. The option was to re-enlist and do like sign for another 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 2 years, whatever it was, instead of 20. You could change your job if you did that. You could get more money for college if you did that. So I was like, all right, well, I don't know how long this is going to go for. So let's do another 4. So initially I signed it for 3 years. And the day I left for basic training, I signed it for a 4th year. And that 4th year is 2003, right? But they stopped everything. So I couldn't get out. And so that 1 year extra signing up prevented me from getting out and not going to Iraq or anything. It was crazy as how it worked out. So anyway,
wait, so hold on. So that year, one more time. That year, what?
So 99 is when I got in, right? And I signed up for 4 years. So I would have got out in 2003.
Right.
But Iraq started in 2003 in March.
Okay.
So I think it was November, October, something like that. They're like, all right, nobody's getting out. We're going to war in a couple months. You can't do anything. These are your options. You got to sign up again and change your job.
Yeah.
Change whatever, right? Or you can just wing it and hopefully it doesn't last for 20 years.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I don't want to be in here, 20 years.
Right.
So
you change your job.
Sign up. Right. No, I just signed up for another year or another 4 years, I should say. And I was like, okay, well, the worst thing is I'll do 4 years. I'll do 8 total. After that, I won't have any sort of National Guard responsibilities or anything like that. I'll just be done if I survive 8 years, I don't have a plan on being there for 20 years. So I'm like, let's just get through this time. And so as soon as I did that, I'm trying to think now, like how it went down, but we went to Iraq with my Germany unit, and I did that for, I think it was like 8 months, and then everything lifted, and they're like, okay, now you can go do what you want to do. And I was like, are you kidding me? I just signed up for 4 years for nothing. I could have waited 6-7 months, and then, but whatever. I left my unit in Iraq. That was with Germany. And then I went to Colorado Springs with a new unit, trained up. They had just left to go to Iraq. So basically I went from Germany to Iraq, to Colorado, back to Iraq, and replaced the guys that I had just spent time with there. Like our units replaced the same unit. It was crazy. and started another rotation with the guys from Colorado.
Jeez.
Yeah. So in
Okay,
those,
wait. How was that feeling? Like now take me through the feeling part here. Like
there was 2 months in between.
yeah.
So my guys knew that I was going where I was going, and
Yeah.
we knew before I left who was replacing us. And so it was a big thing where I'll see you in 2 months type of thing, right?
You
So
already
literally I
knew?
left. I already
Yeah.
knew. So I left and went back to Colorado, and then came over and said, "What's up, guys?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you were just here. You show us everything. You be in charge of all this stuff." And
Yeah.
it was crazy,
Was,
and then I
was
had to
it
see
tough
them
though
leave.
mentally for you? Like, man, now I gotta go back again? Or like
Yeah,
you already sort of knew it's
absolutely.
like, all right, I'm in.
No, I mean the first time, to Iraq was, so going back to our jobs, like we did artillery. Like everybody
Yeah.
came into the invasion stuff, like, what, I don't know if you remember, but what people saw on like CNN with
Yeah.
Baghdad, and it was night and everything blowing up and stuff, like
Yeah.
between the Navy ships, the Air Force dropping bombs, and artillery and missiles and all the other stuff, like we were part of that, right? So it
You were
wasn't
doing
really,
yeah.
yeah, we were just doing, fire support stuff. And then going back to it, we knew we'd do that again. But the second rotation was like a mix between that and infantry, because everybody at the time, everything, once you get in, you're like, okay, now we just got to patrol and do stuff. So
Yeah.
regardless of what your job was, you're going to do infantry stuff now. And so they trained everybody to do patrols and checkpoints and searches and raids and stuff like that. So
Damn.
half our time was artillery and half the time was infantry. But it was a different mindset. I mean, it was fun, not fun. It was interesting to see what changed from the first rotation to the second rotation within even a couple of years, from protective armor on ourselves to armored on the Humvees to weapons. We went from M16 to M4, which is a shorter version.
Okay.
From facilities, we had good food versus just MREs all the time. They
Yeah.
started building up kind of like Kuwait and all the Air Force places, and they took over Baghdad International Airport. And so there were just more stuff to not like you go into war like you see in the movies. And there's been a lot of good movies in the last maybe 10 years that came out that's very, very accurate
Mm.
on what it was like, you know.
What would be one or two of those for the audience?
Uh, like one of them is the Hurt Locker, you
Hurt
know.
Locker? Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one. There's one called The Kingdom. I think Jamie
Okay.
Foxx was in that one. That was a little older one. But just, Black Hawk Down was
Okay.
in Iraq, but it was very, how they did it was very intense in the camera work. And you could tell like they had some people that were in Iraq or,
Mm.
Somalia for that
Yeah.
case. That was like, okay, this is what the military guys are going to watch this movie, and they're going to like, that's wrong, that wrong. Because before that, there was a lot of wrong that we would
Yeah.
laugh at watching movies, right?
Right.
But so yeah, going back, like it's different mindset. Like you knew what to expect, so it was different. But then also things were changing for the better, but also for the worse at the same time. Like the first time we were in the back, we're shooting stuff, no one's shooting at us. Second
Yeah.
time,
Right.
people are shooting back. There's definitely more firefights the second time than the first one. And then
How
this,
is that? Like,
yeah,
how is that for you? Like, we because you were obviously part of it, right? Like
yeah.
you were there. Yeah. So what can you hit a little bit of the emotion? Like, is there no emotion at the time other than survival? Like, what's happening
No,
there?
it's I mean your training kicks in, you train so
Mm.
hard to do something, and it becomes natural. And so yeah, your emotions are running high. There's panic, there's sweat, there's fear, there's tears. But your training kicks in to the point where you're just going through the motions and doing what you're supposed to do. And if everything works out, it's a good outcome,
Mm. Mm.
Um, it's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, there's nothing to compare it to, honestly, in the civilian
Right.
side,
Right.
besides driving with the blindfold on and
Jeez.
and listening to somebody tell you go left, right, stop, forward, back, whatever. Like it's kind of like that.
Damn.
So
And that was like constant. There was like no break of that. It's not like you'd be like, hey, right? Like
I
that's
mean,
constant.
there are times where you're going into war, you're going into battle, you're gonna have a
Yeah.
gunfight. You know, there are
That's
times
crazy.
where you're going on a search or a patrol, and you're
Uh-huh.
just walking through the streets, and you're like, be aware, be vigilant. You know, something can happen anytime, and so your anxiety level is pretty high.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's like walking through a haunted house. Like, you
Mm.
know, it's safe, but at the
You know
same
it's
time, you
got
don't know what's
okay.
coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's going to come. You just don't
Right,
know when
right.
and where it's from. But it's going to
Jeez.
happen. You know.
That's a good
But then
point.
you can leave. You know, you get back to the base or wherever you go, and it's a different environment. You know, and then they start attacking your bases, and you're like, okay, now there's no safe spot. You know.
Damn.
Yeah, I remember sleeping on the roof of one of our buildings. It was so hot, and it was there was no windows, no doors, but it was still really hot. So we all slept on the roof,
Mhm.
and then we would get like mortared, and we're like
Whoa.
watching these mortars fly over us, and we're like, we should probably go inside and not be on the
Not being
roof
on top.
right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn, Chris, that's crazy. It's crazy to hear firsthand, you know, especially like just knowing everything that you actually got to, you know, how you got there, actually, like the whole trajectory of that. So, if you don't mind, I would love to stay on it just a little bit longer,
Yeah,
and we
sure.
can with some uh, and then as far as the things that you've dealt with, either during or after, like, would you consider that you've dealt with some like PTSD as far as
Oh
being
yeah.
in there doing that?
Yeah. I mean, I did end up doing 3 rotations, right? So in 4 years, I did 3 tours to Iraq, and one of them we got extended, which was crazy, from 12 months to 16 months,
Mm,
17 months. And, that does a mental toll on you besides what you see, but also just living in those conditions and being away. Um, PTSD is a real thing to
right.
a lot of veterans like myself. And there's a lot of overcoming and working through things to get where you're at now. And I don't think PTSD ever leaves you,
Mm,
you know? I mean, I told you, I think too, when we talked on the streets, when I got back, the VA at the time didn't really know how to deal with soldiers coming
right.
back from Iraq because they didn't have the same experiences that Desert Storm had, or even Vietnam. And it was a lot of medication they were just throwing out at you.
Mm,
And like, I remember coming back, and the very first counselor that I talked to at the VA about, like, I was talking to him about PTSD or whatever that they assigned me to. It's going to sound strange, but he was Arabic, right?
mm,
And um, I'm not racist or against anybody, but
right.
when you spend so much time against a certain type of people that
Right.
looks different,
Yep.
your first instinct, whether you know them or not, is going to be back to that training. And you're like, I can't open up to you about how I'm feeling. I'm sorry. It's not personal. It's
Yeah.
all in my head. But right now, I'm fresh paint from the war,
Yeah.
and it's things like that. I'm like, why would the VA? Because this doctor was great, right? He probably could help tons of people, but
Right.
why would they assign him to people that were just over there, you know?
Right.
And they didn't really
Right.
understand, so they give you different medications. I was on 5, 6, 7 different medications for sleeping, for anxiety. I couldn't leave my house.
Mm,
I couldn't drive because I was worried that when I was driving, something would blow up. So my eyes are just shifting from back and forth on the road,
damn.
looking at cars. Somebody would speed, somebody would be next to me. You think road rage is bad when you're just a normal person driving.
Right.
Imagine deliberately having to do road rage with a Humvee in the streets of Baghdad because you have to get out of something like an ambush, and you're
Right.
plowing through vehicles that unfortunately you don't care what happens because you're trying to save yourself and the guys that are
Right.
with you, and you're just trying to
Yeah.
leave, right?
Yeah.
So driving was really tough when I got back. I couldn't go to like the mall or in public places at all
Yeah.
because that hyper vigilant um, aspect of things. Uh, so it took a lot to
Like work through
to
that.
to live, to work through that,
Yeah.
and yeah.
What like when you I guess were how did you become aware of that like, dude, this is it is real. Like, was it initially when we were trying to like get back to civilian life, like regular normal people life, and you're like, were you trying to go to the mall with wifey and the kids, and it was just like, this shit is not for me right now?
Yeah, you come back, and like I said earlier, I was the last guy to come back out of my
Yeah,
friends,
right.
right? And so you come back and you're like, all right, Kris is back. We're going out, right? It could be the
Yeah,
club, it could be to eat, go to the bar.
yeah,
Like we're gonna have fun
yeah.
outside, right? Because we're alive. Everybody's here.
That's right.
And then you're like, okay. And then you go out and you're like, I'm not okay. I do not
Yeah,
want to be here,
it's not how it
you
works.
know? And
Right.
then so it's tough though, because you have to be aware. You have to
Yeah.
realize it. And there's some very low points in my life, right? That it makes you better. You're like, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to take all these
Mm.
pills every day. I don't want to not go out with my friends, see my family. Something's got to change.
Yeah.
So you talk to other veterans that are going through it, that experience it with you, that are more understanding than the people that the VA appoints you.
Right.
Um, you say, you do research on these drugs that they're giving you, and you're like, okay, drugs are drugs, right? It's not curing anything. It's just treating stuff.
Right.
Can you work through this stuff without the drugs? How much can I go down? If I'm supposed to take 5 of these pills a day, can I take 4? What happens
Mm.
when I take 4? You research weaning off of drugs, like a drug addict, right?
Yeah.
What do they do to get off of it? Do they do cold turkey? Do they go to some, rehab center? Like, how do they get off this stuff, and how do they get better? So, I mean, I got back in 2007, right? So it's almost 20 years ago. And
Yeah.
talking about it now even still makes my heart race a little bit. But
Sorry, Kris.
no, you're
Sorry.
good. You're good. It's only because I'm like in detail
Yeah.
talking about it,
No,
right?
no, of course.
But
No, because I can see and feel like, you put yourself back in those moments, right? In those situations to
yeah,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But you
So,
just gotta deal with it. You gotta get through it. You gotta have support. You gotta have friends and family that understand you, and you also have to have an open mind to talk to people about what you're feeling like. You know,
mm,
and it's hard to explain. Like even now to you, like it's hard to explain how you feel about stuff. Everyone's like, oh, I got bad days and good days, and I'm down, I'm happy, whatever it
yeah.
is. But there's a lot of mental stuff that you replay over and over with nightmares or images and smells that remind you of things, sounds,
Right.
um, obviously like fireworks was a big thing for me. I 4th of July was not a big celebration for me for a long time because
Well,
I couldn't sit there and just listen to stuff explode,
yeah.
because that used to be
It-
what I did,
yeah.
and
It
what used
brought
to
you
be
right
shot at
back.
me, right?
Yeah, right.
Brought me right back. And yeah, and then the smell of like gunpowder or sulfur,
Yeah.
or you know um
Dude, it puts you right back in, and you're like, and you're in that cognitive, emotional, sensory
yeah,
state. That's
yeah, I
crazy,
felt,
dude.
like it's crazy because dogs hate fireworks. You're right.
Yeah.
Everyone says put them in the bathtub, put them in a safe spot.
Yeah.
I felt like a dog, you know,
Dude.
and it took a long time to even one go to fireworks, but then also put headphones on. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, if I don't hear it, I'm gonna work my brain through seeing it and
Yeah.
not hear it, or see
Smart.
it and smell it but not hear it. And then eventually, I could probably, I think the last 2 years, go to fireworks and I'm like, okay, these are cool. I like them.
Whoa.
You
Whoa.
know what I
Just the
mean?
last few years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
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 That's a great way. It's amazing that you had the awareness to do these things, and like, look up ways to get through it, and actually doing it. You know what I mean? Like, to think that's so smart. Maybe just not listen and just watch, and then just gradually change. You basically rewired your programs.
Yeah.
Um, wow, dude, very cool. Would you Okay. All right. So I think that's good. I think that's good, because we can definitely get in there a little bit. And again, maybe we'll have to just do a follow up episode would be great. We can touch base about it, because I would love to just some of the I guess, will you share one like low point that you realized where you were like, man, you talked about like the medicine, you talked about just not being able to go out. Like, was there a specific moment that comes to mind that's just like, that was the moment where I was like, I got to change this somewhere? Like, what was the moment of change?
Uh, Probably. I mean, it was probably the 4th of July, the first one I got back, because I got back in May, right? And a couple months later was July 4th. And that very first one, you know, you avoid things for a couple months, a couple weeks, whatever it was. And then you get to July 4th and you're like, okay, this is supposed to be fun. I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to be on the drugs. I don't want to be scared of the fireworks. I don't want to be scared of driving, going to public places, you know. And you know, you drink a lot, smoke a lot, you do the things that get you through it and mask all your feelings. Like, I want to get as drunk as I possibly can, as fast as I can, you know. I want to get as high so I don't feel anything. And then you're like, that's dangerous, you know. I had a buddy that I didn't come back with because he doesn't live here, but he committed suicide that summer when we got back. And that was tough, you know, because it's just you wish you could help somebody, but also I could see what it did to everybody that he left. And you're like, that is a selfish way to fix your problems. But at the same time, you understand why he did it, which is you understand both at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you also don't want to be that way, you know?
Right.
So you're like, okay, something's got to change. So,
did you feel that? Like, did you feel that at that moment? Like, you were like, this is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's all these emotions at once, and you're like, something's got to change. I can't do this. I don't want to be like him. I don't want my family and my friends to feel what I'm feeling or what they're feeling if I did this. So something's got to change. And so you start, you know, I started that day. I was like, I'm going to go down in pills. I'm going to get through the night without taking something. I'm going to go in public without taking something. I'm going to drive on purpose. I got a job in a restaurant as a busser. My sister, her boyfriend worked there as a bartender. And I was like, if any therapy could help me get through what I'm doing, it would be surrounding myself with the things that I don't want to be in. Right. And so I forced myself to work in an environment that was around people. I had to be hyper vigilant, and it took a couple months, but it helped me day after day. I would leave and I would, like, in tears. I'd have to go outside for a while, take some breaths, and I'm like, my heart's racing. You can get through this. You talk yourself up, right? They'll see you. They know where you came from. So they're supportive. They're like, you okay? You doing good? You know, pat you on the back, give you a hug, you know, it's okay, brother. And then fast forward through all the bad part, but then you get to the good part and you realize that all the training and all the things that you try to avoid and the hypervigilance stuff that you don't want to be a part of, it actually makes you really good at a restaurant person, because you can see everything all at once, but no one else can. Right. And so you just start ping, 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 ping. And you're like, wow, why are you doing this? And you're like, this is me using what I'm avoiding and what I'm trying to do in a positive way. So that's, I mean, I don't know if you want to end, but that's why I'm at a restaurant.
Yeah, that's right. You're like super wired for that, man. Like, it's just, you know, you can see everything and everything before it even happens, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, well, thank you for sharing. Thanks for sharing that, man. And I appreciate it. And you know what, the people that are listening appreciate the fact that you were able to get to that, you know, and share this, because I can feel the feeling. So I'm glad. And it's been years then, huh? So it's been how many years since, was it
18 years?
18 years? My
18
goodness.
years, yeah. So yeah. And the VA has gotten a lot better since then.
Has gotten
Even
better,
the last 10 years. I mean, I think it was all over the news that all the sorts of veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan and everything that's happened, they're like, this sucks. Something's got to change. And they've changed a lot. There's still some weird stuff that all the veterans were like, yeah, the VA is a joke here and there, but they've gotten a lot better. They've got an understanding. They've got more support. I think the veterans banded together too. And also, like, we help each other now, which is cool. There's a lot of different platforms. And one of my buddies does a podcast as well from California. And all he talks about is VA stuff and soldier stuff. And, you know, with social media nowadays, it's really cool to be able to have support instead of, you know, 2007. Because, I mean, I think it was a flip phone still back then, right? They didn't have screens. It was still dials and stuff. And so, but yeah, that's been a big advancement. So
that's cool, man.
Everybody out.
What's something like if someone was going, let me turn this on. Lights going. what's something that like what's like a place if someone is a vet and what's one that you would share with them as far as like maybe if they're looking for a different resource outside of what they currently have right now?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube, I think is really good because you can do it anywhere. If
Okay.
you just Google like VA benefits,
Hmm.
a lot of things will pop up and talk to you about VA benefits and stuff like that. But then also it leads you to different podcasts and talking about stuff. There's like a VFW. There's
Okay.
different places. I mean, we veterans and military people can kind of smell each other, right? And so when you're walking past people, like we have this hello, type of thing. And I think just being supportive with finding people that are similar.
Mm.
There's a lot, like I said, a lot of social media pages. You could probably find local pages dedicated just military people. I would suggest any sort of military function where like veterans get together and go to breakfast at Veterans Day or something is not the one, but like other places, just meet new guys and new girls to talk about stuff with, and just get out there, and understand that you're not alone. There's other
Yeah.
people feeling the same way, whether you've been out like me for 18 years or 2 months ago.
Right.
There's things to go see and have people help you with.
Damn, Chris, I feel like you're about to start a community.
Hey man, hey, I'm in Idaho. If anybody's listening and look me
Yeah,
up,
man. Yeah,
find
man. We
me
can
somehow.
do that. Start the veteran community part of NCUID. That'd be sweet,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, cool.
Hey, my wife's talked about doing stuff. She's helped me a lot with the benefits and things like that. She's talking about doing some sort of podcast and helping people and go through
Yeah,
the process of getting help, not just the benefits like money and insurance and all that
yeah,
stuff, but like the therapy that goes along with things.
100%.
I know you cold plunge. I
Yeah,
cold plunge, right?
awesome.
Do grounding exercises. There's a lot of non-medicine things that people can do, and
Yeah,
whether you're a veteran or not, I feel like these things are beneficial for a lot of people.
yeah, exactly. Definitely, the cognitive side of it, and then just the hardwired, chemical reaction side of it for sure.
Yeah,
Was it hard? Was it hard for your family, like have like wife and kids to, when you were back and you got back together, or like, or even mom and dad? I'm not sure what the dynamics was there, but family wise, was that tough when you got back? And then for them to see you that way, and I'm assuming family support was key, right?
yeah, yeah. I wasn't married or had kids when I got back, but I was living with my mom, sleeping on a couch for a while. I met my wife, and we started dating, moved into her place and stuff. But the family support was key for me. They didn't. I was I'm a military, the only one in the family, right? Like my grandpa was in or whatever,
Mm.
both of them. But like we weren't around that military always coming
Yeah,
home stuff. So I mean, it was just like I was coming home when I did every once in a while. But when I got back, I'm like, I'm back now. So it wasn't just like a party like it was when I came home.
yeah,
It was like, okay, we had a party, but same time, like now we're living together, we're doing stuff. And I had to talk to them about, how I was feeling. And, just they saw what I was doing with my life and with my body, and,
yeah.
asking things and hiding things and, and
You drinking every day?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And one isn't like I would be, this raging alcoholic, but I was just, it was
yeah. You're
a way
just
to cope
drinking
with
every
things.
day. Yeah, right,
I
right.
was
But as
drinking
far
every
as
day.
to,
But
to
it was
get,
like, oh, you deserve it. You just got back from war. Like, have
yeah,
a beer for me. I was like,
yeah,
yeah, that's great. And I have 6, 7 beers, and then.
yeah, right. I have, yeah, exactly. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was the conversation like, I guess, with your supporting other half, like your wife at that time? Was she?
I mean, she knew. She knew. She could see how messed up I was, and I think that speaking of movies too, the Kingdom was the first movie, so she had a cool house, right?
Mm.
And she had like, I want to say like a movie room, but it was a big movie area where a
Yeah.
living room downstairs, like a basement, turned into like just a
Awesome.
game room and stuff, right? But the cool thing, it has like great surround sound,
Right. Right.
bigger screen than normal.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there and watching the Kingdom, and I'm like hearing surround sound stuff, I'm
Yeah.
watching stuff, and I start crying, but
Um,
I'm not like crying. I just have tears,
yeah.
and I could feel my heartbeat. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm I'm not why I'm not here with you. I'm there, right?
Yeah.
And I can't watch this anymore. I'm sorry." And I think that was like the first time that she goes, "Okay, we have some things to work through,"
Mm, mm, mm.
and she was there to help me, and she's been helping me ever since, with things, and she understands it. She does her own research now. I mean, like I
Oh,
said, between YouTube and Google and different aspects, she's learning to help me. She knows more about VA stuff and medical stuff and mental and PTSD than I could ever imagine. So
yeah, that's
if I don't
fantastic.
start something for veterans, she definitely will.
Yeah,
To
100%,
help
man.
people.
No, no, it
Yeah.
seems like a great. You guys got a great team going on, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like again, it's the things that we talk about on the podcast is that community and the support amongst other people that are closest to you, especially your other half, your wife. It's important to have that, and of course, everybody's on their own journey, but being together on a similar path, similar journey, and having that person you can have support with is fantastic that you have that. That's great, man. Good, man. It makes me happy, dude. It makes me happy that you're having, and it's kind of, for lack of better words, crazy that like that was your story, and then you went through these just days and years of like this sensory that you had to train for, and then obviously then you come
Yeah.
back and you're still dealing with that stuff. Um, what was I guess the last thing about this subject was what's something, and I think we talked a little bit about it, was what's something that you wish you knew more of, or like even for the younger generations that are potentially thinking about going into the armed forces, what to consider, as far as going in, do they go in? Should they do more research? What would you say on that?
Definitely do research, if you want to go in for sure. Whatever branch you want to do, right? But just look at your options. I think don't be coerced by your recruiter.
Hmm.
Look at your job, and if it's something that you want to do for 20 years, do it, right? But if it's something you want to do and just serve your country for 4, 6, 8, 10 years, whatever, figure out whatever you're going to do after that before you start it, right?
Mm-hmm.
See if there's an option to do something. If you want to be a policeman or SWAT or something, and that's what you want to do, great. But you can do IT, you can do medical field. There's all these different jobs that you can do. Um, yeah, don't listen to your recruiters. Listen to you, and maybe find somebody that does that as well, and say, "Hey, how do you like your job?"
Mm. Yeah, like
And
that.
would you do something different if you could? I think it would be good.
Dude,
But yeah,
Kris, that would,
I'm not against
yeah,
military people. I want people to do it if they want to do it. I didn't want to
sure.
do it until I was probably 16, and within a year, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to the Air Force," and then
Yeah,
3 months later, I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to the Army."
right,
So
right.
there was no push from anybody behind me to do any of that. My friends joined, but I was like, "Okay, it's fine." Um, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I think one thing is like and what I would say is like at that age we're still like young, right? At 18 years old,
yeah,
you're still like a baby. You're like, I think I know everything, but you know very
yeah,
little. So I feel like that could be like a great way, Kris, for you and wife, if you do create something where you can even have that as part of veterans speaking on and then educating potential veterans, right? People that are thinking of enlisting, things like that, where you can give some of that feedback, and even just first world experience knowledge, as
yeah,
far as like what they've done, what they've gone, what they would have done differently, that at least to like give more perspective. Again, not saying don't join, but more of like, here's more perspective to figure out what are some of the things that you should or want to do before you definitely join, and then considering what you want to do after. If you were to go back, like what would you do differently as far as considering what you're gonna leave?
I don't know. I have a hard time looking back and saying, what would I change?
Right.
Because I think everything happens for a reason,
Yeah, everything
and
happens
I
for us
think
reason.
I think you have better hindsight, looking back. It's 2020, as they say, right? But at the
Right.
same time, like doing what I did and the way I did it and how I did it and all those situations made me who I am today.
Who you are. Yeah.
So like I'm kind of crazy. If I change something, like, I don't know how I'd be the same today. Like, I might be
Yeah.
different. I might not be married. I might not
Right.
have kids. I might not even be here.
You might even be there.
So it's just, but looking back on it, I don't know if I would have changed anything. Like, the whole process was cool. Get detailed in the story, like, I love every part of everything I went through, which is crazy
Wow.
because there's some bad stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it affects you, and it gives you more understanding to different things that you wouldn't have had without that.
Yeah.
And I can't even think, like, I don't even know what I would have done if I'd never even gone in at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Right.
But I mean, the only thing I probably would have done if I didn't go in would be to, like, not go in and just in high school focus on something that would be a good job.
Mhm.
So, like, I could be around more and learn stuff to where I made a lot of money, but at the same time, like, I was happy doing it, and
Yeah.
I was there for my family, like, because money's not everything. I make good money, but I'm not here, right? There's always a trade-off with things,
Right.
for whatever you do. And even if you don't make a lot of money, but you're happy and it gives you time with the people that you want to be around, life's good, you
Yeah.
know? So I think, if I change something, would probably be focus more in school on some math and,
Math and
maybe
computers.
the math and
Yeah.
computers and science,
Yeah.
like, if I knew in the 90s that technology would just blow
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, let's invest in some Google or something, right?
Yeah.
And
Right. Right. Right.
get
2020
through some
hindsight.
computer things.
Bitcoin when it was $1. Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Really funny. No,
But
man, it's
who
cool.
knows? You don't know that,
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy. To just hear that you're actually just happy even for the bad times, as far as like who what it makes you ultimately like be the person that you are. It's great to hear that no matter what, what I mean, like even the things that you've gone through, because it's dude, like to be where you are right now and what you're doing with the people closest to you, not only at the restaurant, and I would assume also with your family, just the type of person you are, like it just affects everybody positively. I would assume, right?
Yeah,
um
I think so. I think
yeah.
people look at me and like they can trust me as well. And if they don't know me, they get to know me,
Yeah.
and they get to know the way you are. And then once they hear the story, they're like, oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, dude, it brings us back a full circle, and that's why we were able to talk,
Yeah.
on the streets of Idaho. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then start this connection. Wow, man, very cool. Anything else, like as far as that you're working on now, currently, like working through, to change for the better, or just what's your current agenda now as far as influence, thought, emotion, action, decision? Yeah.
Uh, I mean, working is working. I think just make people happy. Like I told you on the streets, that's my goal daily. And I just want to make people happy. Everybody around me, I want to make people happy. I want to be happy. My wife put a list of goals on the fridge. She does them all the time. She changes them up. And it's always about like taking care of other people, first instead of
Yeah.
yourself. And I think that's super important. And so working on communication, like our kids are older,
Mhm.
they're not kids anymore, and learning how to be a parent but also a friend. And
Mhm.
let's hang out, let's get rid of the games. I know you want to hang out with your friends all the time, but like let's throw the football around. And
Yeah.
I want to stay as young and as active as possible. Like, I don't want to be the old guy that can't play hoops anymore. I don't mind
Yeah.
being dunked on for my kids, but I don't want ankles broken or something.
Right,
Right.
right,
So
right, right,
working
right.
out, be better every day, take your vitamins, do your cold plunges,
Yeah.
drink lots of water.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would assume your health, like health wise, your routines are up there. Cold plunges, working out,
Yeah.
you eat
Yeah.
well.
I mean, I think, probably I've been cold plunging for 4, maybe 5 years now.
Mm.
The first 2, maybe the first 3 years, I think it was like every day. And I had this big like goal and I wanted to do, every day. And I think the first year I did a whole year straight. I missed 5 days. And it was because I, I took a trip and I wasn't around my
Yeah.
cold plunge or whatever. And like I
Yeah.
missed it by a day or something, or I missed it
Yeah.
by at midnight. It was midnight 01 or something.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, having the routines is good day. You wake up, you spend time outside, you spend time in the cold plunge. Not
Yeah.
every day a cold plunge, but every day you got to wake up and be grateful that you wake up, and set intentions to do something good for somebody, and make people smile or happy, and, hold what that somebody told me the other day. They said, you hold an embrace for like 7 seconds and it triggers different responses internally in somebody's chemistry in their brain.
Yep.
So when you hug somebody, like, don't let go until they do.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
like
crazy.
it.
Like the next person you hug, just surprise them, because it's going to be a quick, hey,
Yeah.
what's up? A couple
Yeah.
pats and you're done. But like,
You
just
don't let him go.
hold them
Yeah.
for a minute and be
Yeah.
like, I got you.
I got you, man. Do you feel that? Yeah. Yeah. Right.
They may need that. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. 100%. It's funny. Patty does that. So like Patty will come in sometimes and she'll give me a 20-second hug, because at 20 seconds, something with the endorphins or something, changes. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's sweet. And it is, sometimes you need it,
Yeah.
sometimes you need that from people. Yeah, dude. Very good. All right, cool. All right. So anything else? I guess let me ask the 3 questions, even though I already asked them for you. We'll do the quick round. So the first biggest regret was, just summarize it for the biggest regret so far.
Not doing enough research on my job going into the military to where I could use that same job when I got out.
Yeah.
Whenever that was, 4 years later at the time, or
Right.
3 years, whatever, so doing something that was my biggest regret at the
Now,
time,
do you
and
think
still now. But
yeah, do you think you found what you want to do, like in the restaurant field right now? Like, is that complete you, or do you internally know that like this is good for now, but I think there's something more for me somewhere else?
yeah, it's kind of weird because I did restaurants before I was in the military. I was like a
Mhm.
busser in high school, like those first jobs. And I left for 8 years and then came back and I did the restaurants again, which is crazy. So 18 years ago, so I've been doing it for a while and majority of my life, more than any other thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if whatever is next, because you have to learn, you have to get experience. Getting jobs is getting jobs or creating a job, I don't know. I think there's something more out there.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I think the restaurants is like a stepping stone. I just, you think one day you're going to meet somebody and, it's going to be life changing. Could be
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
maybe,
100%.
you never know, something else is out there. So
Yeah.
something's there.
Yeah, dude, I think you have something there with your experience, and then know what you know about, the veterans and people that have gone through it, PTSD. I think I've talked to a few veterans actually before too. We've had somebody else on the show. You'll get to him, Swarmer, one of the episodes in season 2. He talked about a
Cool.
couple of those things as well.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and I've seen quite a bit of different organizations and groups and things like that. But yeah, because I feel like you're that type of person. You want to provide something. Not obviously saying that we don't provide anything of meaning, but more of that emotional meaning for someone that they hear your
Yeah.
experience, they hear your stuff, and they turn around and become you change something in them, the trajectory of their life somehow.
Yeah. I think that's why I like restaurants too. Cause it's like every day is in every table, somebody's, you have an opportunity, and it's
100%.
almost like they're coming to you and say, you go into them, but you look in the whole restaurant and you're like, I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to talk to this person.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to this person. And the same thing with the staff, like, I'm going to not teach them anything or make them better, but at the same time, like, what can I provide to make them
Yeah.
a better
Yeah.
person,
Yeah. Make them
teach
feel
them
good. Right.
experience,
Exactly. Good. All right, cool, man. So we're gonna have to keep me updated on these things, because I'd love to know how it goes. All right. Second question was biggest achievement outside of family, and obviously family and kids.
Yeah. You asked me that on the street that first day, and that was the second question you asked me. And it kind of goes into the first question, but getting to where I'm at now, it wasn't a one day type of thing, but the process looking back as a whole, in the
Mm.
years that it took to get off the drugs, to be better, to watch those fireworks, to listen to the noises, to surround yourself with people that you didn't know what was happening, to
Right.
drive. I think that's the biggest achievement, and all the military people understand that once you can get past it, but it just takes a while. And it's not like you build a cake and you're like, all right, here's a
Yeah.
cake. It took me an hour. All
Right.
right, achievement done. Like, this hour it could be a year, it
Yeah.
could be a week, it could
Yeah.
be 10 years, but eventually the cake will be baked.
Yeah. Or eaten, right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, or eaten, right? Like you say,
Yeah.
the laundry gets done.
The laundry gets done.
And yeah, that's my biggest achievement is getting to where I'm at now from 2007, when I thought like
Hell yeah.
nothing's good gonna happen. I don't know why I'm here, why did I come back? I should go back in, all the things, to get where you're at now, to be positive, to, outside of wife and kids,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
to be
dude,
happy.
that's sweet, bro. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Very good. Dude, hell yeah, man. Because it is, it does. It does it takes time. It takes the effort.
Yeah.
And then there's always going to be these cycles where you hit these like low points where like, am I still on the right progress? Is this, is this right for me?
Yeah.
And it's great to hear that you just kept going, Okay, and then I guess the last one is what's the thing that you're changing now or working towards, changing for the better of your current situation.
I mean, honestly, right now, I'd like not to work.
Okay.
So, in a sense of, monetizing money type of thing, right? Like
Yeah.
I want to work, but I also want to give. And I like to do something. Like I said, I don't know what that is, but I want to do something and get paid, pay the bills, obviously, because they got to get paid.
Yeah.
But be happy doing it, and then have time for everything else. So if I wanted to change something, it'd probably be my job that takes a lot of time, and a lot of stress, and a lot of energy
Yeah.
and emotions from me, to do something else that has more energy and more rewards, as far as what I'm giving to somebody versus what it's taking its toll on me,
Yeah.
in a sense. And nothing's easy. There's always going to be hard work, and whatever that is, it's going to take a lot of, grinding on it to get to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I want to do something that's helping people still, and making people smile and happy and understand that life's good, even
Yeah.
if it's not at the moment.
Right.
And so for now, it's just, like I said, doing the restaurant stuff, and finding a good restaurant, good staff,
Yeah.
and good guests that come in that you can be a part of, and just, realizing that you're blessed with where you're at. And
Yeah,
yeah,
man. And like just like your journey from going from, where you were to now, it's just going to be a journey for the same thing. So,
yeah,
the fact that you have it or you're aware of it, just sit with it. It doesn't have to be today. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. How we say, right? Rome wasn't built in a day; it was built in two. So, like,
right, yeah,
so just now that you have that, you can give yourself some time to reflect on it, and then steps, small steps, big steps, doesn't matter. Just taking some sort of step moving forward.
yeah.
The fact that you acknowledge it and you're aware of it is great. So I'll hit you real quick before we end this one, and I'm gonna do a podcast on this just to share it with people, but we'll do it on, we'll share. I want to share it with you as well. So, you obviously know the way my brain thinks, and the way, the way, if people are listening, obviously the way my brain works. I did like this personality test, and I'll send you the link if you want to take it. So I took it, and it's like 5 different personality tests that sort of gives me, hey, based on the way you answer these questions, this is kind of your
Hmm.
personality, and this is what you probably would be good in terms of work or how to work or things like that, right? Like
Oh,
job
cool.
titles. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I took like, like everybody's on this ADHD thing now, because every, like I feel like on people's like timelines, you see, take the ADHD test. I was like, all right, let me see how much of ADHD I have. So I took the test.
yeah,
I got my results back on that. And it seemed like I was like, all right, well, if we're gonna label it and use words like this, I guess I'm
yeah.
some high ADHD in certain areas. So I was able to take that. I took my personality test, and then like I put it into chat, and I was just like, chat already knows, a lot of me, along with my blood work and all that stuff. So I was like, all right, chat, here's some more information about me. I had to do
Hmm.
some deep research, and then I had it provide a summary, a synopsis, and then the best possible way for me to visually see and hear and like interpret the chat, like the response,
That's
based
cool.
on the analytics, the numbers, right?
Hmm.
And I've asked it also to then help me break down what like a regular schedule would look like. I shared it with Patty, and Patty's like, oh, so like chat basically like gave you an organized squirrel schedule. So for her, when she goes squirrel, like, so like
Squirrel. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I get a chance to be a squirrel, but like in scheduled blocks. So
Okay.
yeah, it worked out well. In the
That's
last
cool.
last couple of days, I've looked at, I look at it. I'm like, okay, let me do this. I do it for an hour, and then I give myself 20 minutes to do like a creative process or something, and then back to work or like lunch or whatever. But I would encourage, if that's something like, for the listeners or even you, it's just, maybe take the test, if do the ADHD, even if you're not, like, just to see where you're at, and then implement it into chat and ask chat to, to
That's cool.
help you put together a
I'll check it
schedule.
out.
Yeah. Or even just how to like interpret things. And now I ask it, like, if I do any projects with it, I'll ask it, it's like, hey, now that you know how I should see it, like, analyze this project and then give it back to me in the way that I should see it and read it. So that way it's most optimal for the goal,
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah. So that's a little bonus for everyone there. In terms
Cool.
of,
Right on.
yeah. But all right, my brother, let me know any last words for any of the viewers, listeners, anything else that you want to say before we end this one?
Just don't have a good day, make it a great one.
Let's go. Don't have a good day, making a great one. All right, Kris, I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate the fact that you said yes to those questions, to that situation. And then not only did you provide you provided hope. I would say the vocabulary there is hope, because for a minute I was really down. I was like, man, this sucks. I was like, even like mid argument with Patty, and I was like, this is gonna work. She's not gonna work. It was back and forth, back and forth. But by you saying yes, it provided hope, and it created this, and now we're on an episode, and I think you got a lot to give. You had a great story, so thank you again for being here and sharing that with us.
Cool. Well, thanks for running across the street and stopping me on one of the worst days out of work, and changing my perspective on things, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Let me ask one last question.
Right.
What's been one of your favorite episodes?
I'd have to look. I've been listening on Spotify, and I've marked a few of them as like the plus. You add them, and it just says like the playlist is like Wilson on it.
Wilson podcast, cool.
There's a couple of them. I think I obviously marked the one that you were talking about cold plunging on, because that like hit home for me, right? The one with Patty is awesome. I think there's two that I've watched or listened to so far, right? The first one, that when she first got on, was really cool, because it was like you guys were talking and you're doing what you do, and she was like trying to do what you do, but it was like so organic, and her responses and things. It was really neat to listen to you guys talk, and it wasn't necessarily like, I mean, it was the information you were given, but also just like listening to you two
like the dynamic,
do what you guys do, like dynamic, is super neat.
Cool.
There's that one, and then there was another one I saw or listened to the other day. I can't remember. You look at the ones that I've. Do you see when people add?
Yeah, I can't personally see. No, I can't personally see, like, from Kris or anything, but I just yeah. But that's cool, man. That's actually cool feedback too. We're actually gonna get Patty back up. We've got her scheduled this month, so it'll be a good one to get her.
Oh,
back
right
up.
on. Yeah, good.
Cool.
I can't wait to get like to season 2, and I'm like I said, I'm binge listening to them so I can get up to where your current ones are.
Cool, man. Cool.
So
yeah, you definitely got.
A new one dropped. I got to listen to this one now.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Sweet. All right, Kris. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you again for being awesome. Thank you for being amazing. And everyone listening, appreciate you guys again. Don't forget, nothing changes until you do. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.